Live from Los Angeles, welcome to Good Morning LaLa Land. I'm Dr. Erin.
Hi, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jamaal. This is Good Morning LaLa Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now also available on Apple TV and Roku.
Right, and today is all about Transformation Tuesday. We're going to talk about the top daily routines of entrepreneurs. We're going to talk with one of my dear friends, the pitch whisperer, and we're going to find a couple that is transforming the colors of our shirt, the $1 million collar, and finally one man's journey to making his dreams come true.
Full show.
Full transformation.
That's right. It's such an honor to welcome our guest to the studio, Mr. Jamaal Murray, who has transformed his life, manifesting an incredible career. His intuitive skills and his photography skills are absolutely unparalleled. Good morning, Jamaal.
Good morning, you guys.
Good morning. And look at that power couple back there, Rob and Linda. Oh my gosh, $1 million collar. That collar is not going to move this entire show. Right?
Stand put. It's perfect.
We're putting it to the test. And the man who has mastered asking for what you want and getting a yes. Good morning, John. We are so excited to have you on the show today.
I love you, John. Dear friend of mine. So excited to have him here.
Oh, absolutely. So here at the Morning LaLa Land, we like to know, what is your morning routine like? How do you start your day? John, I'd love to start with you.
Well, I have two King Charles, so I start my day by getting puppy kisses in bed, and that's how I wake up. And that instantly reminds me to stay in the moment and not worry about anything else, and be starting off with gratitude for being awake and being happy and being loved.
There's nothing better than just basic puppy love.
Puppy
Yes.
love.
Jamaal, how do you start your day? What's your morning routine?
Well, the first thing I do is I say a quick prayer. Before I pick up my phone, say a prayer so to calm myself, set the intentions for the day, and then I get a big cup of coffee.
Smart man.
And Rob, how do you start your day?
I like to think about what I'm going to do for the day, try to get some goals set out, take a shower. I work from home, so getting in that routine of actually getting started, dressing like I'm going to an office, but I'm walking 20 steps over to my living room. That helps me get my head right.
Absolutely. That can transform your day, right? What you wear. Lindsay, what about you? What is your morning routine like?
Rob always has coffee ready for me in the morning, and he also makes me breakfast every single day, so that's a great way to start. But I actually write my list the day before, so then the next day in that morning I can really hone in on what do I need to do that day to feel successful. So I always write a list the evening before and get started then right away the next morning.
Love that. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. We're really excited to talk to you all more later in the show.
Right? So body, mind, spirit transformation, beauty from the inside out. What we got going on around here?
I am literally transforming thanks to Miss Elle Russ
Right.
and her Primal Blueprint podcast. She has been such an incredible light. She sent me this gorgeous box full of these goodies that I swear by. I'm keeping them. They're collagen-based products, energy bars. I live out of my purse because I'm going from like set to red carpet meeting and whatever. So it's been absolutely perfect. And the guidebook for it all by Mark Sisson. The
I
Primal
mean, this guy is a badass.
Blueprint.
Serious.
He
He's
is-
serious wellness badass. No question about it, right?
Absolutely. So I mean, just look at this. This is just a massive amount of true genius. I'm really excited to incorporate some of these tips into my diet, and I can already tell I'm feeling so much better.
Yeah,
that.
I use their protein that Elle sent. Thank you so much. She sent this huge box. All three of us now have been on that podcast. Check it out, Primal Blueprint podcast, and they're just amazing. They've got incredible branding, incredible products, and I use it every day on my morning shake.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the collagen bars. I am, because I have heard so much now lately about collagen, mostly through guests on the show, through
Right.
you guys. So I'm killing her bars.
Yeah.
Killing her bars. I really
Well, and just a special thanks to her for the community she's created. I'm really excited for the podcast to be released because it was a very intimate look at some things that have really transformed both Elle and I's life. So stay tuned. I'll let you know when it's going to be released, but I'm really excited. And I've been actually working out, which is very atypical of me,
Whoa, nice.
transforming the way I feel, and actually going to the gym was such a mental mind shift for me. I never got it. I was like, Rob gets up at 3:30 in the morning to go
Why?
to the gym.
Why is he doing that?
We are not alike.
Psycho.
Yeah, I thought we were birds of a feather, but we are not flocking together on this.
Right?
I am with you. Sold.
It's amazing, right?
Sold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
It does take a little while for it to kick in because you kind of have to get used to it. But once you're used to it, it's like you can't live without it.
Yeah, 2 weeks in, you're like, why did I not do this every day before, right?
I remember a quote somewhere. It said, "Not exercising is like taking a depressant every day," literally.
Right?
So yeah.
So true. Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Elle. My dad is actually going to be going on the podcast as well as a natural doctor. They're going to be talking about NADA injections for addiction, which is kind of a cutting edge in that alternative health field. So exciting.
Your
Really
dad is at the
excited.
cutting
I
edge,
know.
huh?
And I did go to Unbreakable, that big gym, kind of a swanky LaLa Land gym on Friday with Rick Langley and the group up there, and it's so cool. So I walk into this gym. I think it's like literally $2,000 a month to go to
Yeah,
this gym.
it's pretty sick.
And you go in, and I was expecting like this really aesthetic, like kind of shishi. Not at all.
It's more
like
Rocky-like.
It's like underground, but it's actually in the attic of this other restaurant, and it's very Rocky-esque. And you go in, they give you like a pre-shot of something, I'm sure a lot of caffeine to work out, and you go and you have like every hour on the hour is a private like session with the trainer, and then you go box, which is really, I suck at that, really, by the way.
That's a foundational
Right?
element for them, the boxing.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you go in this other, after you're done working out, you go and you get these things on your legs and it pulls all the
Compression.
acid, right?
Yes, yes.
And you can get an IV of vitamin B or whatever. It's only another $150 to do that. And then you can go in and get this laser that goes like into whatever pain you have.
wow.
Well, I have no idea. And go in a cryotherapy session and they give you a shake. So, you know, if you're wondering what the celebrities do, that's what they do when they work out.
I've had clients that I've worked with, and after the session, I'll like drop them off there, and then they come out, and then sometimes I'll come back. Oh, I'll pick you up, on my way to the next client. I'll pick them up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the total transformation. They start describing what they've done, and I'm like, wow, it's a total like one-stop shop for all your health and wellness needs, really.
I was just proud of the leg presses. I was able to do. I mean, really, I'm just going to start with their basics at Equinox in West Hollywood.
Yeah, but I think it's like Usher and people like that, like big people, and they network, right? So they're like, oh, $2,000, I do that, and all the networking I do there, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool. I saw the Insta story. It looked amazing.
So cool, so fun. So we're still have like it's almost rained again today, so we're officially Chicago comes to LA.
Here we are. It's very Pittsburgh-like, and so, well, I do agree with Jez, and I was thinking about yesterday after the show. I was like, I'm so much more productive, I think, when it's kind of cloudy out. At least I don't have the itch to go run outside and like just hang out on the beach.
Right. So let's take a little break. When we come back, we're going to talk about daily spiritual practice. We're going to talk about daily routines, because in Good Morning LaLa Land, we always ask people how they start their day. And so on a day like today about transformation, let's talk about how top entrepreneurs and CEOs have their day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land. We are live from Los Angeles, and we are honoring #Transformation Tuesday today. So we have an incredible article Erin found about the ways 7 of the most successful entrepreneurs are actually starting their day.
Right. So, we're always asking our guests how they start their day, but actually this is about their daily routine. And some of the things that some of these people like Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and the founder of Twitter, they ask, how do you balance work and play and life and your family, right? So it's very interesting because these are concepts that a lot of leadership programs promote. And basically he chunks each day as a different intention of each day. So for example, Monday is all about management and running the company. Tuesday is about the actual product. Wednesday is marketing, communications, and growth, and so on and so forth. So the point is this, I remember reading the book by Tim Ferriss years back, which he was such a genius in doing this, but like, how do you chunk your days? How do you have days where you don't get on your phone at all? How do you have times when you only check your email maybe once a day or certain days of the week? And this is kind of what the common denominator of very successful CEOs and top entrepreneurs do. They basically decide and design their week and their daily routine, how they want to do it, right?
I love it. I mean, because focus is king, right? Or queen, as the case may be. And the challenge with distraction is not only that you lose time, there's an opportunity cost to distraction. So when you're focused on X, you're not focused on Y, but also to get refocused, also that costs you time and energy as well. So you actually lose a lot more time and energy than you realize every time you're distracted.
I absolutely love this concept because I feel like I have to manage all aspects of my life all at the same time, and I can absolutely never get caught up. The trouble for me is wrapping my mind around putting something off until the following day because I feel guilty. Oh, I should be responding to all these emails. If I don't do emails until Wednesday, what are people going to think on Tuesday?
Right. So Tim Ferriss will say this: you do an automated response, like a vacation response to people, and you say, "Thank you so much for your email. I respond to emails Tuesday and Wednesday, or whatever it is, and within 48 hours you'll get an email back, whatever that is. Like, you can do that. You can also, have an automated text response to people like, thank you so much for your text. We'll get back to you within 24 hours.
Yeah, I love that. I
Right?
also love, and I think it's important to be prompt, but when you're too prompt, you actually encourage people to like raise their expectations about when you're getting back, and so it just becomes like this terrible rabbit hole that you dig for yourself. So it's good actually to make people wait a little bit sometimes, Jez.
Sounds
as
like
hard as that might be.
some player dating going on.
A little bit. I use that in my dating life as well.
Right?
No.
No, just kidding.
It was really interesting. I took a dinner meeting this past weekend, and my companion said, "What do you think at the end of the day? What is it that you think when you go to bed?" And I always think, I wish I could have done more.
You're Superwoman already,
She
Jez.
really is.
You really
Yeah.
are.
No,
It's
no,
amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it's really interesting because I need to learn how to maximize not only my personal capacity, but opportunity.
Yeah, it's tough. I think you have to constantly calibrate and recalibrate for ROI. So how much time and energy I'm investing in something and how much reward I'm getting. And so it's something that often you can make educated guesses around, but you don't always know whether a conversation or a meeting is going to be worth the ROI. So it takes a lot of experimentation. But for me, it's just key to like really dig into that. Because if I'm not digging into like the ROI around any particular conversation, meeting, or activity, then you just get swamped, and you're always swamped, and it's endless.
ROI is return on investment, just so you know. Like,
Yeah.
someone like, what is she talking about? But the truth is that we are, we're spiritual beings. We direct energy, and if we're directing energy all over the place, it's not going to be very effective. So we have to choose and decide where we're going to put our energy, and choose and decide what we're going to focus on. Because if we're ping-ponging back and forth, the reality is science has proven that we can't actually do two things at once. Our mind
Right.
literally only can focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, the parallel processing is a myth, apparently.
Yeah.
Multitasking is a myth.
But not for me, I'm a Gemini. So I
You're right.
process
Well, that
all
changes
day,
things.
every
Yeah.
day.
You are the exception to the rule, Jessalyn, in every way.
If you want to reference the article we're talking about, it is on thebufferup.com, and it's the daily routines of famous entrepreneurs and how to design your own master schedule. I thought it was really interesting. Winston Churchill stayed in bed until 11:30 a.m. every day. He did all his readings, letters, mailings, everything from bed, got out of bed, had a 2-hour lunch, and took his work to the office. So what works for you, or Winston Churchill, may be your own master
Right.
plan.
That's fantastic. Albert Einstein did something similar. He would spend like hours in the bathtub. Literally just thinking, like really.
Genius.
Yeah.
It obviously worked for him.
Apparently, it
Right?
did. Yeah.
For sure. So let's take a little break. When we come back, we're going to get to the back studio and find out about all the people here, their transformation and the body, mind, spirit, their business, and all the above. Stay tuned. Welcome back live from Los Angeles. We have John Livesay in the house, who is a dear friend of mine. He is considered the pitch whisperer. He's an author. He's a success coach. He is incredible. I just love you, John. I'm so glad you're here.
Erin. It's so great to be with you and two of your new great friends.
Right?
On the show.
Thank
you for being here.
So you have worked with, you've worked with so many companies, branding, doing all kinds of things, helping with sales. And recently, of course, you have books that have come out. I've watched you in all this stuff. One of the genius things I've watched you do is help people start their podcasts. You were one of the first people that said to me, having a show is not so much about having the show become huge. It's about the relationships that come out of that and the genius of that. And that, for me, changed my entire thinking around everything I was doing. So thank
Fantastic.
you for that.
Well, they always say that your network is your net worth.
Ooh, I am rich.
So the kinds of people I've been able to get on my podcast have incredible influence, and I would never get to know these people, but having the podcast is a way to get them on and get a relationship going, and then who they've introduced me to is a wonderful thing. So I really encourage a lot of people to explore having your own way of creating weekly content without having to write a word.
Right.
Because you can take the transcript from the podcast, and I do it as posted as an article on LinkedIn every week. So there's lots of ways to get that, and I had to overcome a lot of fears. And we talk about transformation of starting a podcast. Because someone said, well, why don't you start a podcast? I'm like, well, why don't I go to the moon? I don't know how to do that. So and I realized I had some fear, and I thought for me, I had to put some faces on it. And the first one was the fear of rejection. What if I asked some, celebrities like you to be on my show? And I'm like, well, do you have any episodes we could listen to? And I'd be like, no, you'd be the first. So it was the fear of rejection. And for me, Erin, we talk about this all the time from a spiritual standpoint. Never reject yourself. Because in your head, you go, oh, somebody else could have gotten a yes, somebody else would be, And if you don't reject yourself, that's the key of overcoming that fear.
That fear resides so deeply within me because I have trouble asking for what I want. I can talk my way around it till I am blue in the face, and I wait for that opportunity to be given or presented by the person, especially if I'm interacting with a man and I want to ask for something. I can't bring myself to do it.
Part of what's going on is you're afraid of being rejected, it sounds like. And the way to do that is just go, I'm not afraid of the no. And let go of, just trust the process. And when you, the second fear for me, maybe was for you as well, was the fear of failure. Which, like, what if I have a podcast and no one downloads it? And I'll be embarrassed and I've wasted all this time and money. And one of my guests, Jay Sammet, said, you know what? Failure's just feedback. Keep going till you get a zombie idea. This is clearly a zombie idea. So great it won't die.
We're zombie. I feel
So
like a
that's-
zombie after waking up every single day of the week.
If you look at failure as just feedback, or the no is just feedback, it's no for now, or no, that's not a fit, then I think you'll be more empowered to ask for what you want sooner.
I just love that. One of my favorite books, well, my second favorite book now, was I Can't Accept Not Trying by Michael Jordan. And he basically says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
But it's a hard thing to think about when you're in the moment and there's so much fear. So is
So
there
much
anything
fear.
that you've sort of encouraged people to do to get through the fear when they're in the moment and they want to ask for help or they want to ask for us help?
Yes, well, the third fear for me was not only the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, but the fear of the unknown. And that's a big one. That's what almost stopped me from doing the podcast. I didn't even know what mic to buy, let alone who to interview, right? So the secret to overcoming the fear of the unknown is don't go it alone. Collaborate. Get people to help you. In my case, I found people that produce the podcast for me, so I don't have to learn all that. So I think if you realize that you don't take rejection personally, failure's just feedback, and the unknown, collaborate, don't go it alone, then whatever fear is coming up, you'll be able to conquer.
Love that. So powerful.
So I know for podcasts, it's so interesting because you only think of whatever genre you're interested in, but people could do it that are just even in a traditional business, right? Like, tell us a little bit about that, like some of the clients you work with and how it's transformed their business.
Well, one of my clients is Kessler, which is the world's largest architecture firm. And they hire me to help them with their presentations and their storytelling. I say, forget selling and tell stories instead. Whoever tells the best stories gets the person's the yes, because we're wired for that. So what's happening for a lot of architects is they wait for someone to send them a proposal and then they go in. But there's no relationship before they go into that room. The podcast starts the relationship 6 months before they even realize they need an architect. So I've helped them start a podcast where they're interviewing potential clients and finding out what keeps them up at night. When you ask those kinds of questions on a podcast, then you get insights as to what they need 6 months, a year from now.
It's fantastic.
So would somebody like that, because I have a dear friend that's also thinking about starting a podcast. She has a UX company and she's doing marketing. I thought, well, why don't you consider doing that? Because then you'd have also relationships. But who would be her client? Would it be the client that she would want to be reaching to have another like in her field, like another UX person? But if her client is someone who doesn't really understand UX, then they might not necessarily be looking for a podcast that's just on UX. How would you strategize something like that?
Well, I work with people to say, who's your ideal client and who are you having trouble getting past the gatekeepers? Like, you can't talk to them for whatever reason. But if you invite them to be on your podcast, you bypass all the gatekeepers. And that's who you want to have on your show.
So let's talk about pitching those gatekeepers.
Yes.
Because that is a huge secret. I was reading in your book, The Successful Pitch, some of the forewords. Kim Douglas even said she worked with you. She's a world-renowned beauty expert in pitching Ellen. She got on the show. She's been on the show now for 8 years.
Do you want to hear that story of how I helped her get on Ellen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, as you know, has been on television many times. And when she first pitched Ellen, I was working at W Magazine and they had her on the cover as Ellen DeGlamorous, the first time she was hosting the Oscars. And Kim's first book was The Black Book of Hollywood Beauty Secrets. And she pitched the producers and they said, Ellen doesn't really have a lot of authors on the show. She just is really focused on her hair color, not a lot of beauty. Thanks, but no thanks. Maybe you should talk to Oprah. She has authors on. This is when Oprah was still on. I said, okay, Kim, that's our first no. But your book is all about how to get red carpet ready. And Ellen's got, the guy from, the fitness helping her get in shape. So why don't we really target what to do the day before the Oscars and make it funny because you're funny and Ellen's funny. So when we figured out what the segment would look like as related to Ellen going on the Oscars that Sunday, she got on that Friday, and I was in the dressing room with her.
Wow.
And there was a whole thing about, well, you know, the spray of this particular fragrance makes you appear younger. And so Ellen grabs the bottle and starts spraying. She goes, oh my God, the set looks brand new. And then, you know, one of Kim's tip was put some rose petals down your brassiere and you'll smell like roses when you're walking around the Oscars. And so, you know, Ellen grabs half a grapefruit, which is the fragrance, and some rose petals, and they're doing a whole Lucy Ethel thing, and that's why Kim's been able to be on all these years, multiple times.
But what is so genius about that is Kim obviously is the expert, she's the product. It was just a way of tweaking
Yes,
the pitch.
exactly.
She's still selling the same thing.
Yes, but it was a very customized. We're going to help Ellen get ready for red carpet. Is she wearing a dress or not? What beauty secrets? And of course, they're funny beauty secrets. And then boom, they had the chemistry that the three of you have, and it was off and running.
Wow. Ooh, another check.
But it's really goes to show, though, that no doesn't mean never, it means not now. So if you adjust the way you're pitching or you're having this conversation, negotiating this deal, accept the no, rework your pitch, and go back for it.
That's what storytelling is so great. If you can create a story for someone where they see themselves in the story, imagine it's the Friday before the Oscars and Kim's helping Ellen get ready for well, suddenly now they see that story, they see the segment, and it's perfect timing for what they need at that moment. So you're absolutely right.
And that's like Good Morning LaLa Land. We're really trying to create the story, maybe you can help us a little, around that LaLa Land's not just about LA. LaLa Land is really about dreamers. It's about people that have the, you know, courage to persevere through the hard times and go for their dreams and do good in the world and make a difference, really. So what do you think? I mean, how do we make that story more?
Well,
How do we
I would
develop
tell that
story more?
story in terms of why did people come to California in the first place?
Sunshine
the gold
and
rush.
the dream.
Right?
The
You can
gold
go back
rush.
further. The gold rush, right? Looking for their dreams. How did Hollywood get started? Right? Because the weather was great here and it was a way to do that. It's tap into the story of origin. Whoever you are, you've got your own story of origin, and everyone wants to know, how did you start? How did you start? You know, we can't all imagine you being this gorgeous and talented from the beginning.
This shit
but you
doesn't
had
That's right. Woke up like that.
You had camera ready.
By chance.
Right, but when you go back to the story of origin of what do people associate with Hollywood and how, even the movie La La Land, right? There's a reason why this particular location is situated, and even now in Silicon Beach compared to Silicon Valley, right? That there's a whole mindset of dreams can come true no matter what industry you're in. But Hollywood is all about storytelling, and when you tell that story of what this show's about, then the appeal gets much broader than just you have to live here in LA because we're talking about the traffic. No. We're talking about changing your life.
We need to script our trailer for it, for sure. It's so good. Your work is profound, John. You have impacted my life. You've impacted so many lives. And we met because we were at a spiritual center, Global
Yes.
Truth Center. Big shout out to James Mellon and everyone over there. And I do believe that your mindset and those truths have really helped you on your journey. Tell us a little bit about how that's benefited this journey for you.
For me, one of the things is when you think it, you can believe it, and then it happens, right? The concept that you're as happy as your thoughts. So if you get to control your thoughts, which control your beliefs, then you can have that. One of my recent goals was to do a TEDx talk. And I was applying to a lot of different places, and it's like an audition for an actor. Like, oh, you made the cutback, but not yet. Right? And for a year and a half, 15 different locations saying almost but no, I had to walk my own talk of not taking rejection personally. And then I got a yes. And I was like, ah. And it all fit into a theme of amazement, and it's about being the lifeguard of your own life. And how, if you take that on as, no, unlike in a hurricane when they send a helicopter in to rescue you, no one's going to do that for you. You got to rescue yourself.
Wow.
And when we have that mindset, because my personal goal is to get as many people as possible off the self-esteem roller coaster. You know, I was on it myself. I only feel good if my numbers are up and I'm making tons of money, and I feel bad about myself if I'm not hitting my goals. And I'm looking at how many likes I have or whatever all that craziness is that we get caught up in. But when you remember that who you are is bigger than anything happening to you, then you're off the self-esteem roller coaster and you're happy regardless of what's going on. You're not needing all that outside confirmation to tell you who you are is enough.
Right.
So powerful.
Beautifully
So
said.
powerful.
And I think most of us have had that experience in life where we've had this conditional kind of self-love and conditional kind of self-esteem. And it's great when things are going well. And then when things aren't, it's not. And you don't have the resources to really pull yourself back up.
Right, or even our bodies, right? You're like, oh, I only have a 6-pack and not an 8-pack, right? And suddenly you're all nervous, right? Am I enough? Right? You can drive yourself crazy, right?
And it's endless.
Right,
Yeah.
it's endless, right? I'm only gorgeous if I'm this amount of weight or have this much money in the bank. I don't feel secure. All of that's constant up and down, and we have to transform that. And to your other question earlier about how do we get people to say yes to us and we find the courage to ask that question, people by transformation, and since that's the theme today, I thought that was really valuable to underline, not information. So when you're asking someone to say yes to you, whether it's a TEDx talk, sponsor me for whatever it is, tell the story of what that does for you when you're going to go from here to here, as opposed to just spewing out a bunch of information.
It's such a powerful point, and I really appreciate you highlighting that, because I think we've all discovered that people really make decisions from an emotional place.
Exactly.
Not from a logical place. You know, they backfill it with data and logic. And I love that you share that, and I love that you live that too. You know, that's part of, I think, your gift is you're able to connect with people on an emotional level.
You have a distinction around that. They start with the gut,
Yes.
the heart. Yep.
Yep. There's 3 unspoken questions people have when they hear you pitch anything. Do I trust you? Which is a gut thing. And the best, you know, that's where the handshake came from, to show I didn't have a weapon. And then it moves from the gut to the heart. Do I like you? The more you put your empathy hat on and show you can understand what that person's going through, your likability goes up. Teachers spend more time with students they like. Doctors spend more time with patients they like. So you want to have your gut, your heart, and then it goes to the head. And as you're telling what you're going to do, people are thinking to themselves, will this work for me? Can I see myself in this story? So gut, heart, head. Most people think it's the opposite. Oh, if I get to know you, then you like me, then you trust me. You got to start from the bottom up, not the top down.
So
Wow.
true. So where can people find you?
My website, John Livesay, Livesay, and if you text the word pitch to 66866, I'll send you my free book, Getting to Yes,
Wow.
From Invisible to Irresistible.
I love that. He is high tech too. You're texting right now. I love you so much, John.
I
Thank you
love
so
you,
much
really.
for coming down. We're
Such
going to
a
take a
What a
little
pleasure.
break. Right, we're going to take a little break, talk
you.
about some more
Thank you.
transformation and.
Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land. It is a pleasure to introduce a dear friend of the Focus TV family, Mr. Jamal Murray.
Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for being
Hello.
here.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you so
show.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you
how
so
are ya?
much. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Not only are you an incredible photographer, but you truly have an eye and a vision. And you've
Yes.
had a vision for your life for a very long time. Our associate producer, Ms. Victoria Simone, told us a little bit about your story of transformation, and I'd love it if you would share.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when everyone moves to LA, they have a certain vision for their lives, and I thought I was going to come out here and become famous. That was the thing. I was a kid. Famous was the thing. And I realized once you get out here, the city is not what you see on TV. So I was like, okay, it's like, okay. You know, it's not okay. So, you know, I got a regular job, and, you know, I'm feeling unfulfilled in that job.
What
And
was this job?
I worked at a psychic network. I won't
What?
say the
Really?
name.
Okay.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
customer service rep at a psychic network. I was like, this is not what I came out here to do, but I did it. It paid the bills, paid well. And I sort of stumbled upon photography, picked up a camera, had a bunch of actor friends, and I said, well, let me just try to do some headshots. But the transformation part is that I look back over my life as a childhood. I always had a camera. I was always the one taking photos of people, and I was always the one behind the scenes taking pictures. So it was sort of a natural evolution that I stumbled upon this professionally. And I always tell people, when you do a transformation, it's not you becoming a horse to a cow. You're a caterpillar to a butterfly. And transformation is something where it's something that's always there. It's always something that, you know, God has placed in you before you were born. And you just have to realize that a lot of people run from the things that they're called to, and a lot of people, they ignore them. But me, I was like, well, this is something that I've always done, something that I was always passionate about. I was like, it was a natural transformation for me. I didn't become something that I wasn't. I became more of what I was already was.
But how did you let go of the idea of the dream of the expectation to be famous in that? Because that's a hard thing when people come to Los Angeles
It is.
for fame.
It's a different sort of equation. We equate fame with success, or fame with money, or fame with happiness, and that's not really what it is. It's sort of you fulfilling sort of your desires and your passions, and that's what becomes the thing that drives you, and not fame or being seen. So it was like me helping people with my photography. I do a lot of headshots, so I work with actors, and I hear stories that people travel far, thousands of miles, far from their family. They're alone, and they came out here for a dream. It's hard, and I am like one of the many steps in the process to help someone else fulfill their dreams.
I love that. You talked about the butterfly and transformation, and I totally agree that we have that in us our entire life. In fact, they have cells in the caterpillar called imaginal cells that actually are what transforms. We already have it in us, as you said. You talked about prayer earlier when we asked what you do in the morning.
Yes.
And you also talked about having, this in you already and going through that transformation. Was there a surrender? Was there some hard times that you have to surrender in those moments to make that transformation?
Yes, absolutely. I can get real comfortable in a nice situation, and I'm the type of person that sort of has to be pushed into something. So what happened was I lost the job at the Psychic Network, which I say was a blessing in disguise.
Wait, but were you the psychic, or were you like doing
No. I wasn't the psychic. Here's the thing. We all have the ability to be intuitive and see
right?
things and know things.
That's
before
why I
they
asked,
happen.
right?
Exactly. So do you deny that part of you, or do you embrace that part of you? And I happen to embrace that. I can connect to someone on a level where I can see things in you that you may not see in yourself, or feel things that may come up for you in the past. And it's just a part of being sort of sensitive and aware and open.
You can embrace the intuition of the psychic without going 1-900 psychic, can I help you?
Exactly. And when I shoot with people, when they come to me, I'm open. Because in order for them to be open, I need to be open as well. So there's an exchange of energy, and I can't be closed off or blocked. So when someone comes in front of me and then they see that I'm sort of open, I'm very goofy and self-deprecating and have a good time, they sort of release those boundaries, and that to me allows us to capture a better image. It allows them to relax in front of me. So that's one of the things. But where I had to surrender, which we all have to do, because we're holding on to something or a power that we think that's our own. And we have to rely on sort of an ultimate strength and an ultimate power. And we have to surrender to that, because if we try to do things in our strength, we will fail. And there's a higher power and a higher calling, and something that sort of drives us that's bigger and beyond our own. So what I did was I surrendered. I just said, what is it, God, that you want me to do? And he said, just help people. I'm not a surgeon, and I can't do certain things, but I can help people through my photography. I can help people realize their dreams. That's my main goal. It's like whatever I can do in my sort of creative aspects of my photography to get you to realize your own dreams. That's what I'll do.
Well, I'm sure Jazz and Rob probably can really relate to this, because they have done a lot of modeling. So I would imagine there's like a magic that happens with a photographer, right?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
I get a lot of times when people leave me, they say, you know what? I was really comfortable with you. I had a really good time. And that makes me really feel good, because some people can be cold and distant, and it's really just about a connection. And we all have it. We're all more connected than we are not. And things like religion and things like that can be divisive. But if we are just the spiritual beings, which we all have, that's the thing that connects us. That's the thing that brings everyone together. So I try to bring that.
Right. And now you're photographing, big names, all kinds of incredible projects. What are you most excited about right now?
I'm really excited about just sort of expanded my photography business. I work with a lot of actors now. I want to expand into sort of fashion photography and modeling, things of that nature, and telling stories through my photography.
Were you in the pitch whispers?
I was going to
Good
just say, perfect timing.
Eyes are the window to the soul, and you have a way of bringing out
Absolutely.
those eyes in
Thank you.
so many of the photos that
Thank
I've
you.
seen. Thank you for being here, for
Thank
sharing
you
your
for having
time
me.
and your talent and your
very
light with
fun.
us. Tell everyone where they can find you so they can.
Mostly Instagram. It's Photos by Jamaal. That's Jamaal. Photos by Jamaal.
Love it.
Love your light, man.
Thank you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing your story.
We'll be back with more on Good Morning LaLa Land. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. We have this lovely married couple, Rob and Linda Kessler, and they are here to showcase their $1 million collar. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about this, you guys.
So basically, it's like a collar stay, except it goes down this part of the shirt. You know, most people don't wear ties anymore, so you know, I didn't want to walk around looking sloppy. This all came about when we got married in Jamaica. We actually met on the beach in Milwaukee and got married on the beach in Jamaica.
Wow.
Wow.
And so, you know, before I even said I do, my shirt was just, I was just tugging at it all day. And it was a chill beach wedding. I wasn't going to wear a tie. And I looked at my photos and I was like, man, this just drove me crazy. I just hated the way it looked. So I came home, I literally started cutting open every dress shirt I had. I found every piece of plastic I could find in my house and just started testing and ruining shirts left and right. And
Milk cartons, mini blinds. I mean,
Zip
anything.
ties.
Blind.
Anything I could
Just to
find.
prove a concept.
I thought I was nuts, and now I realize that we have this in common because it's driven me nuts. I have a friend, Melanie Whittle, and she's a stylist, and she says the one thing about impeccably dressed men is their collar's always perfect, Rob. So I'm always, of course, now like that's why today I had to wear
You
the
will
t-shirt because I was like I cannot. But I was
People
all-
hate me because they're like, now I see every single, I can't wear any other shirt that
No.
doesn't have $1 million collar.
And it's mind blowing because you can buy the most expensive shirt, but the collar just won't stay. So this is just brilliant.
So how did you feel about this when he's ruining all of his shirts, proving a concept? Are you like,
Well, the first thing is the placket. And most people don't know what a placket is. They know what a collar is, but they call the collar anything that frames a face. So now, first of all, we're talking about something we don't even know exists, placket, where the button and buttonholes are. And then it was, I don't know what you're doing. And like, I'm ready, and he's still ironing his shirt. And I'm like, what are you doing?
He's like spraying on
And
stars.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
tried
actually,
everything.
because it doesn't exist, and we're used to seeing dress shirts how they are, when you see it upgraded, you're like, oh.
Interesting.
So I at first didn't know what he was even talking about. So now it's a visual thing, because like a collar, placket, something that's upright, not. So it's
is this something you can throw in the washer? Or is this dry clean only?
It took 3 years to develop a material that could be installed once and just wash, dry, iron, dry clean, launder. It doesn't matter what you do to the shirt, it will last for the life of the shirt. And I have shirts with 100 presses on, and I talk to a lot of dry cleaners, and they're like, we don't ever do shirts, rarely 100 times. I mean, 60 is about as many times.
So
as
they
a
have
shirt
to
lasts.
buy the actual shirt. They can't install it in other
No,
shirts.
it's an aftermarket. It goes
You
into
can?
any dress
Okay.
shirt. I
Oh,
got this
wow.
shirt yesterday from my friend Susan at J. Hilburn. But yeah, I got this yesterday and upgraded last night. I taught myself how to sew. It takes like 5-6 minutes to put it in any shirt. And once it's in, it's just in.
So you could take it down to your dry cleaner that has the seamstress in there, and
Yep.
he or
Exactly.
she could put it in.
Yeah,
Seriously
everything
transformative. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I have gone through so many shirts just trying to get it right and doing like with the spray starch. I use double stick tape, like everything. But I mean, you can literally spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a really great shirt, and still the placket is just all
Right.
crumbled up.
You know, you get that softer fabric, and then it's got even less structure to it. And, you know, shirts really weren't designed to be worn without a tie. But the fact is up to 90% of shirts now are worn without a tie. And
Right.
so the shirts haven't caught up to trends, really. And we just have the one product that actually fixes it.
What was the hardest part about this business? Was it actually coming up with the design for the product itself? Was it distribution? Was it marketing? What's been the most difficult part of the journey for you?
It's been a big education, you know, because like Linda said, nobody knows what a placket is. You know, we call it $1 million collar because that's at least gets people in the right area of the shirt. So educating people what the actual difference is from a collar stay to a placket stay. And then it's really getting some of the old, big guys to get their head around this change. Shirts have been pretty much made the same way for about 100 years, and there have been a lot of changes, and this is a pretty dynamic change. So we hear a lot of no's, as John said, so I keep grinding through my nose.
I find it really interesting. I mean, so you get married, you're a newly married couple, and you're building a business together.
couple.
Multiple businesses. Yeah.
I owned a gym called the Transformation Room.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did TRX and Pilates, and I worked for brands like Insanity, Beachbody, TRX Matrix, and I do fitness modeling for them. So I was working on that. He was working on a screen printing company, and then trying to get the patent on this. So we do have the patent
Woo,
on the $1 million collar.
congratulations.
So that was a task in itself,
I can imagine.
actually getting a U.S. patent. And then we're like, hey, let's move to California because we are sick of Wisconsin winters where we know what negative 75 feels like. Gotta
Wow.
leave.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, let's move across the country. If we're going to start this adventure and we have the patent, we're going to do this, let's just start over and focus on one thing. And so that's we moved to California and Los Angeles, and so we could focus 100% on $1 Million Collar. And the creativity and the atmosphere here in Los Angeles and the like-minded go-getter attitude is phenomenal to be surrounded by.
Wow. So La La Land, right?
Yes.
Everybody's
Yeah.
fulfilling their dreams. And
Yes.
you're like, oh, I mean, what do they say? 1 out of 8 businesses doesn't make it. But this is brilliant. I mean, honestly, I can think of every single man wears shirts, right? I mean, it's like you have a pretty big market. And I love the name of it because it's like a big affirmation goal at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like a
Yeah.
right? And it's like a subconscious, like, reprogramming for people. When they wear these shirts, they're going to be very successful monetarily, right?
Well, girls, we have so many options to wear. We have dresses, we have jumpers, we have dress shirts, we have blouses, we have God knows what. Men, they want to look nice. We have a suit and we have, dress up like this, looks beautiful, and then a dress shirt. What other options do you have to look nice? So now it's taking the dress shirt to the next level so you can look nice but casual and just have more of a suave look than just always having a tie on and always being like just over the top and there's nothing wrong with the tie, and you could do many other options, but it's just nice to have that more casual upscale look.
I love that. I love that so much, you guys. It's really a cool story. And I love that, I'm sure John's helped you with your story around it, but I love the idea that you guys were getting married and it was something like there's a concern about a guy's shirt, like who cares about that? But guys care about that. And we don't even realize that as women. We don't think that, because guys won't tell us that generally. They will just have their own little conversation about it.
I just watched Rob fidget with his collar the whole time. Yeah. And then he'll be like FaceTiming his friend Melanie, and she's like, fix your collars.
In between segments, I'm like, texting, she's like, you better fix that collar, Rob. I don't have that problem anymore.
I told John I know what I'm doing every morning. I'm coming here with my sewing machine and making sure anybody who goes on.
Oh man, I'm
set up, so.
I am so
And that's the best thing. You have like a 6'2" tattooed man with a sewing machine, and he's just like
awesome.
the one thing he knows how to do is
Yeah, I can't hem your pants, but
Little
$1 Million
collar.
Collar all day.
That in itself is a great story. So where can people find the $1 Million Collar?
The easiest place is on our website or Amazon. But if they go to our website, we got a 15% discount code for all the viewers.
Cool.
GMLLL.
All right. Look at
Nice and easy.
that.
Yes,
love
I know
that.
what my dad's getting for Father's Day. With
For
the promo
sure.
code.
Brilliant idea, guys. Congratulations on
Thanks so
getting your
much.
patent and stuff. So looking forward to watching it all unfold for you, for sure.
Thanks.
Thank
So
you.
stay tuned, you guys. We will be right back. We're going to bring everybody back. Stay tuned for more transformation. Welcome back. We are celebrating Transformation Tuesday. And I want to ask you guys a question. So we asked you about your morning routine. I want to know, what is the most transformative thing you do in your daily routine? What has transformed your life the most, John?
I would say the thing that transforms my life the most is to not panic and stay calm no matter what's going on. And that comes from my lifeguard training. Because our mind wants to go to worst case scenario and catastrophize everything. And if we just went, wait a minute, stay calm, no matter what's happening, I'll figure this out, I'll get some help. That's what I do.
Love
I
that.
love that. That used to bother me when I would see like somebody out there in the ocean or in the pool, or like somebody that was having like an emergency, and I'd see the paramedics and the lifeguards like kind of taking their time, it seemed almost, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so necessary that they do take their time. If they're panicked, how can they help anyone?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Gratitude. I just say thank you for everything that took place during that day, the good and the bad, the obstacles and the triumphs. Say thank you, and that's my sort of release, because it's a new day, following day. If I can make it, then it's new challenges, new opportunities, and new blessings. So say thank you at the end of the night.
Love it.
Actually, we live in Marina Del Rey, so I'm on the ocean, and I manifest. We'll actually go from runs, and we'll stop, and I speak out loud to the ocean and say what I'm grateful for and what I want. And you can't just ask for what you want, you have to act on it. And sometimes just saying it out loud to like
this great power of the ocean, it feels so good to like, okay, this is what I need to do to get to that goal. And I just speak it out loud.
Awesome.
I'm really good with lists. I just, if I don't have a list for the day, I am scatterbrained all over. All of a sudden it's 3 o'clock. I'm like, what? I have done nothing if I don't have a list. So I keep my list, check it, scratch it off, feels good.
Nice. I love that.
I already add some of the things I've done on that list so I can start with a few checks. You feel accomplished, right? It's not all you have to do. You have to recognize what you've already done.
I love that you do that, Jessamine. I love it. It's a great way to start the day.
That's a great way to let go of being a perfectionist and be a progressionist, where you celebrate your progress.
Thank you.
So treatable. So treatable. Oh my
Amazing.
gosh.
We are Good Morning La La Land, America's first live streaming daily talk show, coming to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now also available as a podcast on iTunes.
Right? It's all about liking, sharing, and commenting and supporting the community that you love. We are waking up the world together, and have a wonderful divine day, you guys. May you live your truth.
It's going to be a good morning, La La Land.